And we are live. Hello everyone, welcome to today's live stream. I'm going to be starting a new project this time around. Ooh, oh wait, I think the stream might have started a little bit earlier than I was expecting. But hello everyone, welcome to today's stream where I will try to make another creature with locomotion. I saw some cool stuff from the game Rain World, and I'm going to try to replicate one of those creatures, the long tendrily one that would traverse around the scene using its arms. So I want to try to replicate that motion. So I will try to do that. So first of all, let me get some points in the scene that I can then simulate on. So with this effect, like the previous creatures that I've made in the previous live streams, I am going to start out with some points that will move around the scene, and then I will tie those points all together, and then create a creature in the middle of that. So this should work well, but let me get started on this just to see if it does work. Okay, so new. Let me add in a simulation output, simulation input. So with this one, we don't need a guide position because that will be formed by itself. Oh, actually, wait, that might be... That should work fine. Ooh, I'm a little worried about that. Maybe I'll just set the target position to be different, and then it'll only mix to a new one. Okay. I think I know what I'm going to do. So I'll start off like this, but then I will sample these cubes, proximity, geometry proximity, so that I can get that position. But, so I'm going to store that target position, as we've done so many times before. Is the music too loud? It's a little bit loud, so I'll lessen it by just a wee bit. So yes, that'll be faces. But here's the thing. This will be T position for target position. Let me lower the audio for my side. Okay, so this will sample the closest point, closest face to these points. But the thing that will make this different is that these will have a random value added to the source position. So this will essentially, if I use a set position after this... Here, let me not use simulation nodes for the time being. So set position. If I apply, well, this to there, we should see that they all stick to this cube. But if I add some more offsets, then we can see that it'll move to other blocks as well within a given range, which is what I want. So let me take that viewer out of there and put this back into here. So that'll do that, but I want it to only happen once, so that it doesn't keep freaking out every single time. Or actually, it'll be fine for now. So this will be our little thing that we play around with for the target positions. And it'll stay that way for quite a while. So now I need to make a system to make those points go towards the target positions. So to do that, I'm going to use a set position node, and then I will use a named attribute node with the target position there, but then I'm going to subtract from the current position to get the offset between the current position and that. So if I were to apply this into the offset mode, it just goes there. We can see there's a little bit of a change, but that's because that moves along with our current positions. But we want this to be scaled down by a little bit. So I'm going to scale it by 0.1, so that'll take a while to get over to there. I think that could be good. It seems rather natural. So I think I'm going to keep it like that for now. Maybe. But here's one more thing. I want it to keep changing over time, I think. So when it gets close enough to the source object, I want it to change the seed value, hence making it look towards another object in the scene. So I'm going to set up something interesting for that. Let's see. I'll get the distance between these two instead of calculating the proximity twice. So I'll get the distance between the target position and the current one. If that is less than, I'll say 0.1, I will store that attribute as, I guess, on surface. So there's that. So less than 0.01. There we have it. So I'll put that into a frame. And now I can reference this on surface. Oh, wait a second. Oh, yes. Okay, now, yeah, I know what to do. So if it hits the surface, it'll switch to a new version of this. So I'll make it so that this value updates every single frame. So let's use scene time. Let's make this be, yeah, frame, so that this updates every single frame. So if we play the simulation, it starts to freak out because it keeps switching between which one it wants to go to. So I want to make that happen only when it gets close enough to a given surface. So to do that, that's pretty easy. We just use a switch node to switch between either a new position, or we just keep the old target position from the previous frame. So there we go, and I will use the onSurface attribute that I set over here to be the kind of, oh, go to the new place, or choose the new target position. So if I do that, we should see that it works. There we go. So once it works, yes, okay. So once it gets close enough, it decides to go and do some other stuff. Which, oddly enough, this will always be the same exact time, because this is basically the ratio between the target position and this one. So every set amount of frames, it'll go and pick a new one. So now we essentially have the points doing an okay job. It could be better. Like, I could add some things to make it, like, more animatable, if that makes sense. But I think this is good for now. They just go there, and then they pick a new one. These will travel over time. Yeah, I think that's okay. Let's speed this up so that's 0.2 of the distance there. I think that's too fast. Let's see. Okay, now that we have this, I'm going to just go really fast and start the... Oh, wait a second. I'm going to store the distance instead of the is on surface, just so that we have more data to play with later. So distance... Yeah, that'll be the distance between those. And then I'll just use the greater than over here. So I'll take the current distance, then use or it'll be a less than, like I had before there. Oh wait, that needs to be converted to a float, because that's a float. Oops, I'm getting a little hung up on the controls here. So it's less than 0.01. It'll do the switch. We need to just see if that's still working. It is. Very, very nice. Okay, so this will be distance to target. And then this will be choose new target. Randomized target. There we go. Yeah, that makes sense. I could simplify this by just using a scale node, setting this to -1 or 1, just so that I can collapse this value and just easily scale the quote-unquote search range of the random value. So there's that. So now it's time to do the fun part and mesh, or create the center point that will go to the average of all of these. So it'll be another geometry node simulation. Okay, so let me show you. Here, let's put in just one point, one singular point. So if I use the attribute statistic and set this to vector, here, let's look at the single point, then put in the position to here, and then get the mean, or the average in a way. This will always go towards, let me use a join geometry node to show this off. This will always be in the center of all those points, which is good. The thing is, I want this to be toned down by a little bit. Here, there we go. I want it to not be exact. I want it to kind of float between them. So there are several ways to do that. I'm going to do the easiest option first, and then I'll switch to the more complicated ones later. So let me use a simulation once again. Here, let me go and put this here, just so that we can see where the endpoints are while we're doing the physics. So simulation output, simulation input. Now this one will be very easy to do at the beginning. I'll use a set position node to mix between the current position and then the averaged position that we can reference here. So we're transferring it from the points mesh and then into the attribute statistic. Since it's one value, we can transfer it to our points mesh, which we don't need it there. We just need it right here. And then we're just going to mix this into here. So here we'll say, oh, only go 10% towards the new value. So we should see, actually, let's lower that to 0.025, just so that we can really see what's going on. Here we go. We can see that it's very gradually going towards the new position. But what if, should I do some velocity to this? Here, let me hide the unused sockets here. Because that's not exactly looking as good as I hoped. Let's do some velocity physics. It'll make it look better in the end. So instead of that, I'll do, well, we need to keep the set position in there, but let's store a velocity attribute. For this one, let's set it to that, and then apply the velocity to the position so that, you know, physics stuff. An object in motion will stay in motion. That's what the velocity will do. So let's take the velocity, and then, oh wait, we need to subtract from the position to the new position. Yes, that should be the case. Now if we normalize that, we can say, hey, move only 0.1 meters, as we can see here, to the destination. So let me add that into here, and this will show us that now, oh, there it goes. I need to flip these around. There we have it. So now we should see that now this has physics. The center point looks like it has weight to it, which is good, which is what we want. Let me move this back and put this into a frame. So this will be, let's see, Control J. Point average, or put point average. Yeah. And then with the offset and all that, I'll move into a different frame. I'm trying to keep this fairly self-explanatory. Hopefully. Then this will be the go to the new place. So travel distance, yeah. Travel offset. Okay, let's see. The music just picked up quite a bit, so maybe I'll skip ahead till it gets a little more mellow. This is music from the game Rain World, which I am referencing for this effect. So another thing that we need to do for our little physics thing here is to dampen the velocity so that it just doesn't perpetually keep wobbling. So for that, I'll set to 0.9 so that we can see it starts to lessen. Which maybe it needs a little bit less. And maybe this part, the travel offset, needs a little bit less as well. Because I don't want that, like, really wobbly feeling. Even though it's not the worst, I want it to be not as much. Even though I'm still getting that. So maybe 0.95? Yeah, that gives more of a feeling of weight. So I'm going to keep it like that. Okay. So now that we do have that, this thing all set in stone, this will be update old velocity. Yeah, there we go. So now that we have the moving points, we can go and do fun things with this, like meshing from those points to the centerpiece. Okay, so let me move this over. So this is our, okay, this will be apply velocity. And I'll label this body point. I think that'll be good. Body point, and then the physics happens right there. We're at 15 minutes, so not bad timing. But now, since we have this average position, we can then go and mesh from the points to there. So that is actually extremely easy. Let me demonstrate. So if we extrude the mesh vertices, we can see that these go in just kind of random locations. But if we use that attribute statistic again, even though, you know, there's only one point, this works well either way, we can get the position of the moving point. And then if we use a... Wait a second. Yeah, okay. If we use a... Wait, I'm just double checking to make sure that this is the right way to do it. Okay. We can use a set position to set the ends to be... So the top, the extruded part, the top of the extruded part will go to the centerpiece. Okay, that is working. So now we essentially have a kind of creature that's going and moving just like that. So we're seeing some logic happening, but again, it's not moving quite enough. So let me... There we go. Okay, so now it's deciding to move around a lot more. Very nice. Very nice. So now that we have this part set up, the question is, what do I want to do with this? Well, I have an idea, and it's another physics simulation. So yes, so right here we have our main motion, our main intelligence, if you will. Let me add some more of these, just in case it decides to start moving a bit more. And actually, it would be nice... No, I'll save that for later. Let's see. So this will be edges to body. Yeah. Oh, wait a second. Edges to body. There we go. So that's that. We don't need to keep the center point in this case, but it may be good to have it just in case I want to instance on it later. Okay, so let me do another geometry node simulation. So I'm doing this in layers just for clarity. So part 1 is just the particles going to there. Part 2 is getting the center point, which has wobbly physics. Just like that. And part 3 will be the ropes. The elastic ropes that do stuff. So let's change this mesh to a curve, and then we are going to resample that curve, which will then have our physics. Hey Chris, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. Simulation output, simulation input. Whoops, did I break it? No, I did not. Okay, so now that these curves are following the animation of the edges, we can now go and turn those into ropes. It'll be a little more complicated than before because we'll need to sample the position from those indices. So as we can see here, these just don't move after they go into the simulation. That's because they're kind of, the mesh is stored originally, and then this loop just happens and nothing happens in there, so nothing happens over there. But if we get the live data from the mesh that is moving, the one that's still flowing, shall we say, I could get the position data from there, and let's have this be the index, And we can apply that, because the indices are the same. Let's apply that to the endpoints. So set position. Yeah, we could just do that and we can see it works, but I want this only on the end points. Just to test. Okay, so now we can see only the endpoints go where they're supposed to, which will help with the rope sim. So I'm going to set up another physics thing with velocity, so let me do that. So this will be vector. This will be rvel for rope velocity. And let me apply that over here, make sure that's a vector. So let's disconnect that. So this will be very interesting because I need to remind myself how to do rope physics. So we can make it so that only the ends go all the way towards the end position, but I'll have to make sure. So let me store another attribute. This will be rope target position, so RT position. There we go. And now, let's see, let's take the old velocity. So we're going to kind of need to do what we did over here, but also add in a pinned group, essentially. I'll have to think about this because I need to remind myself how to do it correctly. Let's see. Gonna do the faker rope physics with 3 points or actual rope physics? I think actual rope physics. I just find it a little bit easier for my brain to calculate. It's weird, but I kind of find that easier to do. So I'm going to mix between the velocity that that does the rope physics and then the pinned group. So let me go and move all this back just so that I have some room. There we go. So this will be Control J, pin. I'll just have this as location pin. End location pins. So if I take the rope target position and then subtract it from the current position, you should see that it's now still doing what it should be. But now, since that new velocity is stored in here, if I were to say blur the old velocity, because it's stored in that point, I can make it travel to the other ones in the scene. So if I do that, we can see that that happens, which is very cool. So the pins are doing their job, but then it just gets blurred over to the other ones. Which actually, that's a very cool effect in and of itself. But I still want some of the like wibbly wobbly rope physics. Any advice for learning Unreal Engine 5? If I knew, I would be doing that myself, because I am currently learning it. I do not know the way, unfortunately. So this will be offset to position, essentially. So we can do that, so we have the blurring also happening. But we could also do what we did over here to get the wobbliness. I'm not sure how physically accurate that is. I'll have to remember. Wait, there's something else that I'm remembering that might help the physics thing. So let me try that. So this will be offset to position, so end location pins, so that's doing that. Wow. I'm looking at the time zones in chat, and it's very interesting to see how different, where everyone in the world is watching from. So, hey, I hope it's okay for you all. Hopefully this isn't too late for you all. If I do this, what? There we go. Okay. So this essentially added elasticity to it. So I blurred the attribute, which means that for every point here, the blur essentially makes the position in the middle, so it's trying to shrink in on itself. So if the maximum you can do that is 2 before it starts freaking out if you don't have, or no, the max is 1 unless you put in more iterations. Then you could, nope, okay, still only 1. I keep forgetting about that. So here it's more blurred. But here, it's about as unblurred as you can get. So we have that happening. So as you can see, it's working fairly well. And I also want to see what happens if I stop doing the... Ah, okay. That makes it feel actually more rope-like. Maybe that's better. So let me also reduce the scale so that it stops freaking out quite as much. So there you go. It has that. Let me set to 0.9. There we go. Oh, we're getting the rope physics without having to do that. Who would have thought? So this will be... Let's put that in a frame. This will be... Let me put a reroute there just so that people can see. Oh, it's going there and there. So this will be elasticity. Elasticity force. There we go. So there we go. Now it's going from place to place and doing the rope physics, as it should. Let's see. Okay, this will be F2 up. This will be old velocity. Okay, so that's essentially how you make ropes. Wobbly ropes in GeoNodes. But, oh, wait, I need to add in gravity. I forgot about that. Fortunately, that's just one node. Vector math add. Now let's set this to negative 0.02 on the z-axis. So now we should see there's some gravity. I like how wobbly it is. I'm going to keep it like that. I'm also wondering, should I just unpin the center? Oh wait, nope, that was the wrong one. Ah, and I also forgot that. Since it's not merged, okay, that's what happens. Yep, but that's essentially the effect that I wanted. And it turned out pretty well, if I do say so myself. So this will be update old velocity. So in less than 30 minutes, I got the effect that I wanted, for the most part. Okay, so that was a 3-step thing. Let's see. Procedural Spider-Man swing, that is way above my ability at the moment. So let's go over these steps again. So points, go burr, just do that. Then I connect them with the middle, having the physics applied. And then I have the ropes going. One thing I'm wondering is that, did I need the center simulation part? Yeah, I'm just going to try... I'm going to see what happens if I just set position to be the middle. Or actually, wait a second. If I want to do this in the simplest way possible, I would just go and do that and hook that into there. And then just plug that into there. So that's just the middle going to there. And then the physics do that. So if I could make it so that the center point follows the rope physics, that may actually be better. But maybe for now, I'll just stick with what I had originally. I just want to show that that is an option. So let me hook that up to there as well. Okay. So that's doing its job. So that's doing that. Another thing... Okay, so I guess I could start doing the cool other stuff with this. Or maybe I should try making it look even better. Oh, another thing. I can dynamically, or not dynamically, but I could change the amount of ropes here to be more, which leads to that happening. So if I were to just reduce the gravity per point, it leads to more of the, like, wobbly physics action. Yeah, there you go. More of that happening. If I did that, that would actually... Yeah. So you don't need that many, but maybe it would look good. I'm going to set it to 15. Just so that, you know, it's rather efficient, but we still get a little more of that wobbly action going. More gravity. Yeah, that amount of gravity is good. Yeah, I kind of want the center to be affected by all of that because it's just not having the weight to it. Actually, yeah, should I? Another thing I could do if I wanted to go about it in the more optimized version is just mesh the curve and then merge by distance. Because the center points are always going to be in the middle. Maybe that would work better. Because I could then chop out the entire middle simulation. And then just have, you know, the mesh point be there. I don't know. But I'm going to keep it like this for now. Let's see, do I start instancing now? Or what else? Maybe another geometry node. Let's add in another one. This will be for like visuals. So let me curve to mesh. Curve to mesh. And this will be circle. The middle simulation being separate might be nice if you want to dynamically change its gravity like in Rain World. Right, yeah. And that's another thing I could try doing. I could... Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's all a matter of how fake do I want it to be versus how, you know, realistic. So let me try meshing the curve just to show that off. So curve circle. Let me hook that into here. So now we have this going. And let's set the radius to be customizable. So set a curve radius. There we go. And these errors, they don't really mean anything. It says they support the mesh in there. It says that a mesh is being imported, but that's just a little bug when going from one geometry node group to another. Oh, and let me name these. So this will be point placement. The second one will be middle placement. Well, middle physics. Physics plus lines. This one will be rope physics. And this will be visuals. There we go. So let me get the curve parameter, then put that into a float curve so that I can customize the radius according to my liking. So I could have it just like this, which is a little bit gross and terrifying. So let me go and do that. Now it looks like giant... Okay, that's not making me feel any better. That doesn't look quite as bad. Let me tone down the radius even more. Yeah. Another thing I could do, which may be cool, is make another rope simulation dangling from up here, from that point. Oh, that might actually look very cool. Okay, tangent time, folks. Or should I? I'm resisting the urge to make another simulation. What the heck, let's do it. Just for kicks. I'm just gonna copy most of the nodes from before. I'm going to instance on points. And this will be a curve line. Yes, more purely cosmetic ropes. It'll look cool, I promise. Let's resample these curves to give them, 10 points seems good. So these move around here. But that's not, all we need are the top points here to be good. So let's realize instances to do that. And now let's go and copy the rope physics section. which you can't copy the simulation nodes, so I have to do this a little bit differently. So I'm just going to copy those, paste them. Oh my god, what happened there? Paste them into the scene, and add in the simulation output, simulation input. The good thing about simulation nodes is usually you only have to do them once and they'll work in multiple scenarios. So let's hook that up to there and there, that up into there again. And then plug this into the output there. So now we got the rope physics happening again. I'm a little worried that the named attributes might freak out a little bit. So maybe I'll have this as RT2, R2, so ropes 2. Just, I'm not sure if it would break it, but just for safety, I'm going to have those as different things. Okay, I'm going to make it so that only the start has that. Oh wow, actually, it's so slow. Why is it so slow? But we can see it is working, just extremely slowly. Oh, looks like we're gonna have to... Oh, that's why. Wait, why did that happen? Okay, there we go. Now we have the secondary ropes doing that, but I want to change the, like, random length of them. So for that, I'll just go and randomize... Which one am I going to Oh yeah, I'll randomize the elasticity scale to be like 0.8 to 1. Oh, and this needs to be on the spline domain, so evaluate on domain. The music is getting very intense again, which may be accurate, but let me just skip ahead to make it a little less. So let's set this to spline. So now we should see there's more randomness going on, question mark. It's happening so fast, it's a bit difficult to see. Another thing I could do is, yeah, I'll resample the curves after this, just because less points means that, you know, that the amount will be different. So let's chop that out from there, and then just resample these differently based on that. So I'll set this to integer to make the points between, let's do 12 and 8 to give a lot of variation. The more points you have, the more variation. There we go. Ooh, that actually looks very good. Okay, now let's join the original geometry in post. Geometry, join geometry. And I have not saved yet. Doesn't that make you all feel better? So there you go. Now we have this whole thing moving, which works extremely well. So let me label this all. So these will be child curves, child rope curves, and then this one will be different lengths. Yeah, that it explains what it does. So let me set this to be more like that and that, because I think it's a bit too much. There we go. That adds quite a bit to this. Now, one of the downsides is that the ropes aren't really randomized in their placement. One thing I can do to get around that is to resample the curve as it goes into there. It's like 40, and then use a Boolean math to randomly not spawn them in on some of them. So random value, Boolean, so that's, yeah, there we go. So it looks more random even though it technically isn't. There's still even spacing. There is a way to make it so that they randomly spawn in on the curve, but I'm not the biggest fan of doing that method. So this just makes it look a lot more tattered. Actually, yeah, let's keep doing that. If the dangling endpoints on the curves have a chance to connect to random points on the original tentacle curve. Let me think. I'm currently computing if that is a possibility. It should be. Because the IDs should be the same, so I can connect them to original points on their own curve or nearby curves. And I could make it so that they try to connect to the cubes as well. And there goes the music again, appropriately freaking out. Oh, it's not really freaking out too much, but it's a little loud on my end. Let's see, I'll just lower my headphone volume and then lower it up for the stream a little bit. Yeah, okay, so let me... If I curve the mesh now... Oh my gosh. Oh wait, I think it's... Yeah, I think the curves are the wrong way around on for the endpoints. So maybe I'll just reverse this. 0 and 1. That may help, and then I'll reverse this as well. Does that make it look better? I'll mesh those separately, so let's never mind that. So let's get rid of that. I'll just do that differently eventually. I'll make it so that these points are starting out lower because before they were facing up. There we go. That looks beautiful. The power of procedural animation and a lot of post effects. Yeah, I'll try that thing next, Chris. So these will be secondary rope. Oh, rope. Physics. Oops. Caps lock never wants to do what you want it to do, or, you know, that. Yeah, this turned out very well in 40 minutes. Not bad. Again, because of the rope physics. Houdini, what? I don't think I've ever seen someone do something like this in Houdini. But I really like the layered approach that I'm taking to this. Because it's like, okay, I could choose other cosmetics after the fact. Let's see. So I'll try that reconnecting right now. So for the secondary physics, that's for the pin. I'll switch between... Oh, wait. Let's see. So I'll add in a random value before the endpoint pin. That is probably good that I leave that one untouched. Let's see. Yeah, this will make it a bit more complicated, but hey, we're in complicated territory now. So let's put this into here. So this will be random. A random value. Let's see. Random value, which as we can see here, it's freaking out, putting everything in its original positions. And then, let's see, let's use a sample curve node. So if I sample these curves, I can get a random position on those indices. Let me think. I'm thinking. Okay, yes. If we use the factor, it'll work on all of them at the same time, so these will transfer to all their neighbors. I could use the curve index to separate them, which I will eventually. So with this being another target position, I'll just put that into there and then put that into there. So we should see... Oh, and I need to make that an AND node so that it only does... Yeah, if it's randomized and also the endpoint... It'll pin it to there. So that's what that does. There we go. So now we should see, yes, that they are all very much jumbled up. But I don't know why most of them are traveling over to there. Why are they doing that? It's using the factor. Let me think. I don't know why it would be doing that. The curve index. if I store, yeah, let me store the curve, the spline ID. So let's store a named attribute. Let's do that. So the index will be stored on the spline domain. This has, why did it spawn in that? Index. There we go. So this will be SID for spline ID. This transfers over to the instances, which means that I could go and pull that when it's referencing the sample curve node. So this will basically isolate all the ones on this spline, will only reference its parent, essentially. So let me go and put spline ID into the curve index. I hope this works. It should. Let me reset the simulation. I should probably save. Probably. SID, let's plug that into there. Does it work? I think so. Something's still... Oh, I know what I'm doing wrong. Ah. So, yeah. SI spline ID is being stored. So I was pulling it after there. That's why I was freaking out. Well, I need to pull the original geometry, which should... Will this work? Okay, it looks like some of them are freaking out to 0, but for the most part, it's working. So yay, it's working. So yeah. Since I stored the spline ID beforehand, whenever I bring the geometry into the scene, it'll do that. Have I seen the new Mario movie? The animation looks unbelievable. I have not seen it yet, but I am interested in seeing it. I will soon, probably. The last movie I saw in theaters was Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves, I think was the title. And that one was surprisingly good. I did not expect it to be as good as it was, but it was. I would recommend watching it. It's good. Okay. Offset to position, random position along curves. Let's see. Random and location pins. And this should be start location pins. Oops, start location pins. So thank you for, Chris, thank you very much for telling me to do that because it turned out very well. It does seem like a couple of them are a little too long. And there's probably a way to change the variance of that. But for now, I think that's working extremely well. So in under 50 minutes, we were able to get this. Which turned out very darn well, if I do say so myself. Yeah, it does look like a swamp creature. So now, maybe it's time for the visual side of it to be done. Which actually, I could do some fun stuff with that. Ooh, this should be secondary, not secondary. Yeah, there we go. Okay, let me save this real quick. I need to hide my screen just in case. Let's see, 3.6 rope creature sim creature. Yep, I spelled that right. Okay, good. Saved. Let's see. Also, Chris, I see your IK test. It looks quite good. You'll have to tell me how you did it soon. Okay, so now more physics stuff. More physics. What about the mesh? I'll get to that. The meshing part is the end of it. That's what will happen. That's when everything else is done, which I think it is at this point. So now it's time for the fun part, making it look all cool in the visuals. So if we get this done under an hour, the visuals to a good place in under an hour, I will be very overjoyed. So I better stop wasting time. I was able to do all the documentation with this live, So that's like adding all the labels to this, so it's quite good. Circle. Curve, let's set this to 3. And let's set this to be very, very small. I want it to almost be wires in this case. Now that looks okay. Not too phenomenal, but I'm going to add in some really cool stuff. Thank you, it's just the intersecting circles math, but I finally figured out the matrix multiplication stuff to transform it from 2D to 3D properly. Very cool. Very, very cool. Okay, so now I want to place points randomly along this spline. Here, let me turn the curve meshing off so that I can see it better. I want to place points randomly along this spline and also give those points random scales. So let's add in a ton of points. But where are these points going to be? Well, let's use the sample curve node and place those in random. I could put this in here, or I could have it as a set position after. I'm not sure which would be better, so let me just do this. And let me join it, geometry, join geometry, so that we can see everything in all of its glory. So here, let's set this to be like 100 points, but then let's have the progression along the curve be random. So it's all along the first curve, but let's change this to all curves to make sure that those go everywhere. Random. Oh no. They are sliding. Oh no, that is not good. How do I make it so that the sliding doesn't happen? If I switch this to length and then get curve length, I did not think that was going to happen. And multiply that by that. Does that kind of hack it into... Nope, they're still sliding everywhere. What about curve to points and delete random points? That would work, but I wish this version worked. Like, technically it is working, but it's not stuck to the surface. It's just saying, oh, let's just slide everywhere. So if I turn that to, like... Here, we can see that it does kind of stick. But when it stretches... Yeah, no, that part is fine. So what if I just add in a random value node to the curve index? Oh, there are way more. Okay, let's get domain size. Let's copy this and move it over here so that we get less spaghetti. That's a crime to my Italian heritage, but I apologize. So that to max count. So now that doesn't look like it's stretching at all. But one way to find out is to keep doing... Okay, so that looks like it's stuck to the surface. I don't know why... Or is it stuck to the geometry? Is it still sliding, but it's less noticeable? I don't know. But yes, it would be simpler to do what Chris suggested, which is to resample... Or, no. Curve to points. Just set this to like a very high amount. Plug that into there. Yeah, doing stuff in the simplest way possible. I keep forgetting to do that, but I'm trying... I need to do that more. Just saying, hey, do it in the simplest way. Oh, that's a... Whoa, that's a lot of points. I thought that was meaning total points. So let's delete geometry, and this will be random value. So now we can select what ratio we want to keep versus toss. Yeah, that means there'll be the same amount of points on every spot on the curve. Does that apply to this as well? It does. Okay. I'm a little annoyed by that, but we'll see what happens. Okay, and then let's set a random radius. Random set radius. Point radius. Let's have this be a lot less than that, so like 0.05. So let's set that to 10. Yeah, that is a lot. I guess it's because here I go with total points versus this, which is like a, for every spline, have 10. Okay, let's set that to 0.1. Does it give... Yeah, okay, that gives the same vibe I was going for. The kind of, oh, there's almost like sand in the thing. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's what I was going for. So yeah, fewer nodes equals better. Thank you again, Chris. So this will be, let's see, random, nope, random points on curve. Can you hear me typing? I keep forgetting. I haven't listened to the audio for my streams in quite a while, so I don't know if my keyboard clacking is good or if my microphone is good, so please tell me if that's all off. Okay, so now that we have this, I could instance stuff on these points. Oh, we have 5 minutes left. Yeah, I probably shouldn't be yapping so much about, oh, maybe let's try this experimental technique, when I should just get to finishing the, the effect. So I'm going to instance stuff on these points, so that's visual in Eevee. Let's have this be an icosphere. There we go. And then the scale will just be the radius from the points. That's one benefit of using points. We get that. There we go. So now that does that. The rotations don't rotate with the object right now, which is fine. But I could... Oh, wait, no, I could just plug that into there. Okay. So now that will be accurate, even though they're so small, it doesn't really matter all too much if they're oriented properly. But if you're really hard-pressed about it, it'll work. Actually, I'll just take it out now so that there's no spaghetti, but you guys know the way to do it. So now the mesh is complete. Whoops, let me move this over here. So let's set some materials. Actually, there's one more part of the mesh that I need to add. Let's see, let's use a set material node. I have 4 minutes left, so I gotta speed run this. But this whole effect was kind of a good speed run. So I'll have one material for the main part and another one for the... So for the vines... Wait a second. Yeah, that'll be material and that'll be that. So the main one will be dark. The secondary one will be a nice blue hue. To try to keep at least a little bit in line with the game. And this object could be any assortment of objects. They don't have to be spheres exactly. What if I added a little bit of glow? Would that be cool? Cool. Does that fit in with the game? I keep forgetting. Maybe I'll have some of them be emissive and some of them not be. So yeah, let me set this to be dark. Actually, no, I think light is okay. Subsurface, no, I don't think that'll look good with this because it's Eevee. It's not cycles, unfortunately. Let's turn up the brightness on those. I'm not sure. It being light or it being dark. Let's see. Yeah, Eevee doesn't do well with subsurface. It doesn't look quite as good as it could. So there's that. Oh, right. One more thing, because I have a minute left. I had a point where the middle was. So I just need to put that point back into the... Oh, wait. Is it? I think it is. Let's see. I need to carry that point over. So let's separate geometry. Or no, separate components. So separate components. I have 1 minute to do this. So let me check the viewer. Is it in there? Come on. It is. Okay, so I can keep that. Geometry. Join geometry. So that I can instance stuff on that one point that I carry over all the way to the end. So let's separate components. Instance a sphere on that point. And I have less than a minute left, so let's do that. There we go. Now we have the center object. Let's put that material on there and set shading to smooth. There we go. So now we can put the center point in there. Do I want to keep it? I'm not sure. But now, time There we go. Time. This project is now done at under an hour. Just under an hour. Oh, another successful speed run. Nice. Or this will be mesh curve. So now it's time to just have fun with it. So this will be to center body. So it takes the point and then it instances whatever I want on there, which is fine. So if I do want to keep something there, I'm not sure if I do, but it'll work. Whew. Yeah, that worked well. Probably not enough time, but in Rain World, the daddy longlegs have more of the blue spots towards the end of the tendrils. Yeah, I'm not sure if I can do that at this point. Like, that's one reason why I kind of wanted this sample curve node. I'm not sure I can do that now. Another thing I could add are the collisions with the objects. But for now, I'm just like, it's alright without it. I think I may also take out the centerpiece for the time being, but I may add it back in later. Let's turn up the roughness on... Actually, that makes it look like it's like ping pong balls, which I don't exactly want. What if these were just black? That kind of does aid... Oh, wait. I need to change this to 30 frames per second. Yeah, that does make it feel a lot faster now, like too fast. So maybe I can lower the speed of that by a wee bit. Or maybe I'm just not used to it going like that. Let me try... Where's the rope physics? Let me try reducing that to maybe 1? Yeah, no, those ropes feel better. So I just halved the amount that does. Those ones, it makes it a lot more dangly, which... Does it look good or bad? Or no, wait, it's the... Sorry. It's the points going faster with the mixing. Yeah, that makes it feel a bit better, but maybe like 1.5. T-position. I could just use a mix value, then plug that into there, but it's fine. It's fine. Like, I was thinking of adding like a little bit of physics into the first part, but I think it's good enough. I don't need to freak out about it all too much. So the middle physics, let me change that up by a little bit by lowering this to like 0.3. There we go. I think the lines are too big for the curve. Maybe I need to taper them. Set radius, set curve radius. Let's have this be the parameter. So, okay, that's another issue. Where those ones taper out towards the ends, but the other ones are inverted. I could just reverse the curve here. So reverse curve to fix that. So that the ends are actually the ends now. And then just, use the float curve appropriately. Or actually, no, it'll be fine like that. So if I do invert them, it'll just make it larger towards the ends, which maybe I want. I should probably also set a group that's only on these curves, so they're like secondary curves, so that I can affect those differently. Man, this was quite the node setup, but it works, so I'm happy. Okay. So I'm kind of just Sorry if I'm being a little slower now. I'm just like, okay, let's regroup, figure out what other things could be done to make it better. Yeah. Like, I almost want to separate the components, separate the secondary curves and the main ones, and then do all that, which I actually could do right there, but do I really want to do it? I do need to organize this better later on, but yeah, let's just store a named attribute, which will be SC for secondary curves. That could be a Boolean. Just have that be checked. That over here, I can, like, switch between... Yeah, let's use a switch. So, switch... Whoops, and I forget that switches between geometry first. So this will switch between that amount for the main one, and then... Yeah, secondary curves. Put that in there. So this will put that in for there. Actually, let's plug this in for the second one and have this one be a constant. And I can make that thicker or less thick depending on what I feel like. There we go. And I can also add in a different taper to that as well. Multiply it, do whatever I want. Also, I want to make sure that's at 0.05. That's fine. So let's add in that multiply. Well, let me do that. Tone that down. Fill caps, I'm doing that already. I'm still a bit unsure about a few parts of it. Let me double the radius, the base radius, so that I can lessen that. So yeah, mostly this is just aesthetics at the end of it. Oh, now it does look like a sludge monster. And let me extend the frame range so that it can do more fun stuff. Okay, wait, I should make like the targeting thing. I completely forgot about that. Where I can make it travel to a desired destination over time. I love Blender crashing on the simplest operation it's been given that day. Ah. Out of curiosity, what was that? Because I'm actually a little surprised that I was able to do this whole thing with multiple simulations in multiple groups without one singular crash. I am amazed by that. So in Rain World, from what I saw in the talk, they were kind of like target positions, kind of, that they then moved around and then the object would go towards those automatically, which I could do. So let me set like a base area, and then I'll move this with an empty, like I did with the other version of this. So yeah, and then I could just tone down the random offset, even though that could be cool. Disconnected a node. Oh. But the 10,000 rock particles... Oh, 10,000 rock particles. That may do it, possibly. Use a set position node. Oh, wait a second. I need to... Wait a second. Let's use a set position node. Oh, that won't rotate it. Rotate the virtual position. That's a little bit of a bummer. So I can move it, but I can't, like, rotate where the things are going to be. So there we go. So that happens, but now if I lean over towards there, although it'll go there almost instantaneously, which I'm not the biggest fan of. Come on. You can make it. Come on, buddy. Okay, I think I'll try... Yeah, let me try setting up the virtual position thing again. I'll just use the sample index. So let's use a transform geometry node to plug in that, and that into. And then let's use a sample index so I can sample the position. So I have, here, let me put in the viewer. I have a virtual position that I can put anywhere in the scene that I could get the position of. And then in, whoops, index. This does run into another problem that I had before, where if I put this like, why is it not right? Wait. Oh wait, yeah, that part isn't right, I know. Okay, good. Where if you like snap it from one place to another, it'll just go there, so you need to kind of ease it over to there. So the animation isn't fully procedural, but you know, it is what it is. So this will be, let me put this into a frame. This will be target position. Positions. There we go. Target, not target. Target. So ideally, I would have these in like randomized orientations instead of in this very regular pattern. Then I would just move it around and it would move it around with this empty and it would do my bidding. Yeah. And I could also now make it so that they will only randomize their footing position once they get far enough away from this target. Actually, let's eliminate that. So this, yeah, we can see that this only updates when it gets close enough. But you know, it kind of lacks the personality when it was just like go here, go there, go here, go there, constantly shifting. That made it feel a bit more uneasy, which I liked. So let's add that back in. And maybe, you know, lessen it by a little bit so that it has a 3 meter, like, other search radius. So yeah, I'll probably need a little bit of shading stuff in the end, like, okay. How do you use the sample index instead of just plugging in the location from the object info node? Oh, so the reason I'm doing that, actually, why am I doing that? Why am I doing that? Okay, so this is why. The transform means that I can just, let me turn off all these so that I can demonstrate. So the transform geometry node means I can rotate these, scale these, and do all of that normally. So if I wanted to make the creature rotate like this, you know, with the target positions, it will. But I can't do that in just the math nodes without, you know, matrix stuff. So this is essentially what I'm doing there, and then I'm just sampling that position because it, you know, a little bit easier. So yeah. So there are a few changes that could be made, but at the moment, I'm quite happy with this. It constantly shifting like that, it just feels so eerie. And I could give it a guide or two. Since it is a tendril monster, I get a lot more freedom with this. Because, you know, I don't need set, oh, you can only move so far and stuff like that. If it wants to go somewhere, it is. So I could add some more physics, like what if I want like a headpiece that also has physics, but I could have that as a whole separate object. Because I have the points thing. Yeah. Alright, I don't know where to take this next, and I'm getting a little bit tired, so maybe I'll call it here at 1 hour and 14 minutes, maybe? There's still some other stuff I can do, like, oh, let me put in an object. With, let's see, the rain world thing is, like, made up of multiple spheres like this. I think so. kind of like this. So multiple spheres set up like that. And then I'll just instance that icosphere in the scene. I do need to figure out how to give it like rotation and stuff like that. So there we go. Oh wow, that actually, it looks all right. Like I need to add in physics for that, which there is a potential way to do that. I just need to like delay the thing and then do I try yeah, I think I might save that for another time. But overall, wait, I could just make that like face the like no, that wouldn't. I'm trying to figure out a way to fake rotation without doing more physics nonsense. I could use a attribute statistics node to get the average position easily. Oh, I did all this without the weighted average. Interesting. So if I subtract, there we go with that subdivide mesh thing before the vector math node with the vector math input. If I do that, I get the vector from there. Then I can use an align Euler to vector node to make this instance point towards there. Plug that into the rotation. Which makes it freak out a little bit until I offset the position by a little bit in the vertical axis so that it just doesn't keep flipping between up and down. This is another optional thing, not 100% necessary, but may work in the end. Still not quite. Let me add more to it. Okay, so yeah, we can see some rotation is happening, but it's not doing the freak out. So yeah, a little bit of rotation. Just enough to make it look like there's physics being applied to the main blob. Which, speaking of main blob, let me add more blob to the main blob. Then maybe I can make like it. Oh wait. Okay, so this will just be quick and dirty rotation math. Trying to learn nodes, is it hard for a starter? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. This is the most advanced stuff in geometry nodes, mostly due to it being in a experimental version of Blender, the 3.6 experimental simulation build. So you can't even get this in regular Blender. But if you want to learn, more basic geometry node stuff, I do have tutorials about that. And Gumroad products, link in the description, where you could find little free and paid tests from mine that you could potentially learn from. Yeah. So let me remove the set material node from here so that I can, set it over here. Let me set that to the secondary one because I want to try. Let's go into breathe. I need to remember to breathe. So let's use a layer weight node. Yeah. Just so that I can get that nice normalized Fresnel. Switch between the emission or no emission. Let's do that. Let's flip that around. Set that to ease. Maybe I need to use a power node in order to make it look better. I think that may be necessary. And also, I should use a mix node after the fact between my colors instead of having it like that. Alright, so color ramp, then a power node to ease it off a bit. So yeah, that look good? I think that does. Perfect nightmare material. roughness for more kind of weird slimy effects. I think that is a good idea. Looks great. I'm glad you like it. I'm glad that this project, oddly enough, went the smoothest out of all the projects that I've made this week. Besides maybe the other speed run, because that one, you know, I already knew how to do it. And I could put tertiary curves on this, but I think that would just make too much visual noise at this point. But actually, I do want to try. Alright, I need to set the shading to smooth on those. Let me also save this. The music is picking up once again. There we go. So set shade smooth. There we go, just to make it look a bit better. I need to figure out how to light this properly because I need to have it dark. Well, maybe this is fine, you know, just for a tweet. And also seeing that it's just a little weird seeing the first starting frames, but it's fine. Maybe I should make the centerpiece bigger. Maybe like 0.7. It is nice seeing that the average can lead to like the almost physics center without me using another simulation. Use lots of blue accents to emulate the glow from the creature. Yep, that'll be cool. Okay, so what other stuff did I want to experiment with? So this will be visuals. So the secondary ropes, let me try connecting all of them along there. Wow, that actually doesn't look as good. Huh. There's also ones that, you know, just go towards the center, which I wish I could make it so that... Actually. Spline per... Oh, wait a second. One thing I could do is store the spline parameter back here. And then it'll transfer to the indices, and then I could reference that. So let me do that. Parameter... Oops. Parameter. I'll just label that as P, because this is the, you know, experimental stuff. So let me put the parameter in there, have that be float. So this should mean... it does not. I thought it would mean that it would attach... Oh no, it does work, okay. So this means that it'll just reattach to itself, which means that I can now randomize this as much as I want, so that it doesn't extend too far. So let me do that so that there's only like just a little bit of variation. There we go. So now I could scale how much the loops deviate from their original positions. Let me multiply this output. Set this to 1 and -1 so that I can choose it. It'll be very good at making horror games. Well, here I'm emulating. I'm trying to copy a horror game's design, just in Blender. So yeah, this is good, but I'm going to put that to there, also randomize that part. So, yeah, that's just for demonstration's sake, that I could make it so that I can affect how much that happens, but I think I do like it, you know, just being random more of the time. Yes, check out Rain World. It is very cool with procedural creatures, which they're amazing. They're just plain old amazing. This ID, this will be line ID. And that's just the resampling. Let's see, this will be pin position. Dang it. Pin positions. Let me copy that and put it in rope physics 01. Yeah, organization will have to be done, but hey, for the hours work of work, this turned out extremely well. Okay, this will be curve resolution. Okay, let's go over this one more time. One more time. Yeah, let me just show all of these, but disable them and start at the very beginning. So all of this starts out with just these few points that just move around throughout the scene. Hopefully you can see them. I know it's a little bit hard to see that. And then what happens next is I mesh them together, but I add physics to the middle point so that that wobbles. Next thing I do is I turn... Oh, wow, that was really cool how that happened. So I do that, and then when that happens, it just, like, converted to ropes seamlessly, which it didn't happen the second time. But then I turn those edges into ropes with physics. And then, after that, I add more ropes with physics attached to the main ones, which look very cool. And then I think the video ran out of time. It did. So let me just pause that, which probably means I should get going. But for the meantime, let me go and restart it from the beginning. So in theory, I could go and add in another... Oh, okay. Another layer of ropes, and it actually works. I am very surprised, but not complaining. Oh, that is hilarious. It's still kind of real time. Here, let me duplicate this and then lower the amount to like 4 tertiary curves. Yeah, where are the tertiary curves? 20. There we go. So I could keep adding and adding curves wherever I want. Actually, let's set this to all curves again. Oh, wait a second. That's, yeah, those make it not stuck. Okay. So yeah, that's freaking out just because actually, wait a second, I need to think. Yeah, no, okay, let's re-enable that. So I could, yeah, I could just keep adding stuff, but let's restrain it by a bit. I'm also going to go and add in some more points for some of the curves so that there will be more dangly parts. Just to add to the creep factor. And, oh, wait, I almost forgot. Let me add in more points, more arms. Here we go. Isn't that lovely? So I could add in as many, you know, actors as I want into the scene. Okay. Yep, enough stalling. I'll end the stream now. Hopefully you all enjoyed. This project turned out extremely well. I'm very happy with it. So just before... just before 1 hour and 30 minutes, this project is now done. Thank you all for watching. I will see you next time. And Chris, thank you for your help. I may want to discuss more of this math in the future. See what could be possible. Because it's good. Alright, see you all. Have a good night.